Welcome again, and in this session we will talk about how to manage time. In fact, one of the greatest challenges for any learner is to manage time, because a learner has to learn so many things within a proper learning environment, which may not exceed to 8 to 10 hours a day, but managing time within that period is not always a very easy task. It appears that 8 hours is a long time, but we fail to manage time, and as a result of which we develop a lot of stress. Earlier we talked about stress in learning environment. One of the greatest source of stress that I had talked about is the failure to manage time, and some people actually fail to manage time just because of the fact they are not aware how to handle time effectively. Therefore, in this course, Effective Learning for Professional Development, we would learn that why do we fail to manage time and how best we can do that in that process. So, we will have certain concepts that we are going to revisit. Maybe we are being talked about so many times how to manage time, but there is a scientific understanding behind something which is called procrastination. So, we will talk about procrastination in particular and time management in general. So, the concepts that we are going to cover is time management per se. That is, what do we mean by time management? That is, if I have got 24 hours of time, will I be able to manage time effectively even if I spend all my energy to 24 hours of a day? So, how do we manage time? That is number one. Then why people fail to manage time? We must know the reason. And there are certain myths and facts. That is, we believe that some people only fail to manage time, others can easily do. We would like to know the reality behind it. And finally, for every learner, it is important that how we break the barrier and manage time effectively. So, we will try to learn one by one. First, about time management per se. About time management is just not spending time whatever is available at your disposal. It is about doing right things at the right time. If we are not doing right things at the right time, maybe we would be losing the sense of time management. Suppose if I have to study something throughout the day, and if I believe that all my studies I will be doing in night only, then it is just not time management, because time needs to be distributed. If you are doing too many things at one time, probably you would be stressed and overstretched. Therefore, time management is all about doing right thing at the right time. Then time management is just not a study skill. Let us not think about it that people who learn how to study effectively using certain particular time, that is not the issue. It is a life skill. It is a transferable skill. If you manage your time during sleep, during studies, during eating, during moving out, doing any job, it is a life skill. It is a skill, just not a knowledge. It is a skill. So, if you can manage time, you not only manage your life very well, you also study very well. And in that process, it gives you the best out of the day. Every day we have been struggling, trying to learn so many things, and our attempt is to get the best out of it. So, if you do not get the best out of it and you spend the whole day, it will cause a lot of frustration for you. So, if you manage time, it will give the best out of the day. And then it is about understanding what truly matters, because we have 24 hours a day, but there are certain things if you do at the right time, it will really matter, and it will move the needle forward. That is, it will allow you to move ahead with some positive steps, with some success possibly if you can do it at the right moment. Therefore, it matters. It matters for all of us while we try to learn. And for that we need to be intentional. That is, our intent must be clear. In learning, we always talk about three things: the context in which you are prevailing, the content what you have been trying to study, and the intent that you want to do it. You have got interest and ability into the subject matter and you expect to do very well. So, that intent is also very important thing with time. You have to be intentional, otherwise you will procrastinate. So, let us see some examples that why time, a fraction of a second, matter. We can give some example. A medical surgeon doing a very precision surgery may not get more than 20 minutes to do a very complex surgery, and if they miss out couple of seconds, probably there would be a danger to the patient. Think about a sprinter who is doing 100-meter sprinting in any athletics championship, maybe in Olympics. We all know the story of P.T. Usha, who actually lost the sprinting for a fraction of a second, 0.001 second. She could not get the bronze medal. For a sprinter, how time is important. Think about a pilot. When a pilot lands an aircraft in crosswind, it's a delicate situation. The pilot has to be very, very careful with their time management and the angle in which they are actually landing the aircraft in a landing strip. So, for every profession, time is a very important issue. We must understand through these examples that even a fraction of second is so important. But the question is how it affects our studies. Let us try to understand how it affects our studies. Now, procrastination, those who fail to actually manage time, they deliberately misuse time. So, deliberate misuse of time is called procrastination. We will try to understand slightly more about it at a later point of time. With myths and facts, you will understand what is procrastination. Now, if you procrastinate, your anxiety will increase and then guilt. That is, if you think that no, I am not going to do it right away, since I can do it very easily, I will do it at a later point of time. And then you will find that at a later point of time you have got some other responsibilities and you fail to do what you could have done very easily. So, it gives you a guilt that you could have done but you did not do it. You repent, and that repentance has got no excuses. So, it delays and force you to develop apathy in study. If you continuously not getting the job done, it will accumulate. It will accumulate over a period of time, and then you will not find interest because nothing is coming in your way. You could have done it pretty well at some point of time, but since you have lost that important time, you are now developing apathy. Apathy means you fail to develop interest in the subject matter. So, it damages your study ethics, because every study, every learner has an ethic, and that ethic has to be followed. So, that ritual has to be followed whenever you study. And our parents and grandparents always used to talk about certain ethics. Now, there are certain ethics even if you go to bed, when you sleep, there are certain rituals. Even if you are studying something in your table or your laboratory, there are certain ethics you need to follow it, that how you should prepare your mind before you actually sit on the table. And it actually forces you to be risk averse. That is, if lot of stress is accumulated, then you are overwhelmed by your stress because you didn't do right thing at the right time. So, you become risk averse. You think that, oh, let us fulfill the short term goal, that is, let us pass the exam only, and we do not want to take the benefit of our studies at a later point of time. So, under stress, because of procrastination, you actually try to fulfill your short term goal. You forget about long term goal and the vision of your life. Therefore, it gives you a very poor decision making. So, you see the cycle of procrastination that is shown in this picture, that you delay important task for instant gratification. We call it opportunity cost. That is, you can easily do something at the right thing at the right point. If you don't do it for gratifying your personal self or to fulfill some of your impulses, then it actually gives you stress, anxiety for not doing the task, that produces some guilt, and then when it accumulates over a period of time, you feel hopelessness, you feel that probably you are not capable of doing it, which we call as negative self-talk. And finally, it affects your mental health. You develop depression and anxiety that you are not capable of. You develop a lot of pessimism. We call that people who are procrastinators, they actually develop dispositional pessimism. They don't see any hope at any point of time. Therefore, it's important that we do right thing at the right time. Now, why people fail to manage such kind of time? I mean, that we must understand in the following slide. Let us see. Now, people fail to manage time because they don't prioritize it. Now, there are certain things which are interesting to you, certain things which you are very capable of, and you have got certain expectations also in life. So, we always have certain challenges in our life. We may have duty, we have got family, we have got career. All these things create conflict to us. But we require all three. The idea is that we need to prioritize our interest, our ability, and our expectations at the right time. If we try to fulfill all at one go, we will not be able to do it. So, it is very important that every day you create a to-do list. You itemize what you have got to do tomorrow. Don't think about too long, that 5 years down the line what you are going to do. You try to do it with some degree of mindfulness exercises, that today or tomorrow what is that I am going to do. Create a list. And then you have to set a personal goal, because when you prepare the list, you have to set the personal goal. What is that you need to achieve? How much you have achieved? What is being left? That calculation has to be done. Mental calculation has to be done. And then you will try to find that while you do it, there are a lot of distractions coming in your mind. You think too many things because you want to do too many things in your life. Therefore, they create an intrusion effect. I talked about this thing to you in our stress management classes. So, avoid distractions. Don't take too many things. If you take too much on your plate, you would not be able to eat everything. So, learn how to say no. When you know that you cannot do it, don't try to absorb it. So, create a good list, try to understand what is your capability, and then try to do one at a time. Sequentially is better. Some people can do it parallelly as well. Some people who are failure to manage time or procrastinator, they always thrive on busy. Anytime you tell them, can you do this job, they say that I will be busy. They are actually not busy. They thrive on busyness. Multitasking is also a major problem. Don't take too many tasks at one go. As I said, parallel processing is not very beneficial to your career. You learn how to delegate tasks. If you can't do it, don't try to accumulate all those tasks in your hand just to be powerful. Don't create a glacier of your capability in front of others. Instead, you say that this is what you cannot do and this is what you can do. Not taking breaks is another issue why people fail to manage time. I mean, they feel that in one go they would be able to do everything. A lot of students like you think that probably at night time there would be no intrusion effect and you would be able to complete all your studies at one go. That's not a good idea. So, procrastination comes through all these things. I mean, if you fail to do all these things, then you develop some degree of difficulty which we call procrastinator. Now, who are they? Who are these procrastinators? Let us try to understand who are these procrastinators. Now, procrastinators are somebody who suffer from temporal discounting. That is, they don't consider time as important. I mean, they try to avoid a task which appears to be unpleasant. For example, a subject in which you do not find much interest, you will try to drag it, you will try to avoid it, you will be carefully careless about it, which we call temporal discounting. You discount the importance of it, but ultimately you do not actually develop get lot of success by having one subject or two subjects which are part of your interest. You have to read everything. So, the procrastinator, they suffer from temporal discounting. They create obstacle for themselves. It's a self-defeating tendency. They actually create some obstacles deliberately, which is something which is a self-defeating tendency. It damages your career. It not only remains with you for a given period of time, it actually damages your life as well. And these people who are procrastinator, they suffer from an unconscious sense of inadequacy. In the following slide, I will tell you why such inadequacy comes up. They actually have a degree sense of inferiority, and by avoiding the task, they actually try to get rid of their inferiority. So, it is a struggle for self-regulation, it is a struggle for impulse control, that let us now enjoy our life today, tomorrow we will see what responsibilities I have got to take. So, worldwide 20% people are found to be procrastinator, but at the student life, the statistics suggest that 60% of the undergrads actually procrastinate. They do not make use of their capability, adequately. So, most students try to feel that, well, we can do it later on. Let us try to do something else which is interesting to me. So, everything cannot be interesting to you, because there are certain studies, there are certain subject matters. Everything may not be very interesting to you, but you have to still learn about it. So, undergrad students are mostly doing this procrastination as a deviant behavior. So, let us try to understand some of the myths and facts, so that you understand that what are the myths about procrastination and what are the facts about it. I will talk about 7 such myths and then we will move forward. One is about that one myth is about this, that procrastinator perform better under pressure. Those who procrastinate, they perform better under pressure, that just before exam they would be able to do very well. Actually, they perform much worse when than what is expected of them. This is a myth, that those who are procrastinator, if you give them pressure, they will perform better. But their capabilities are much more. They perform much worse than what is expected of them, than what they are capable of. So, it is a myth that if you give pressure to procrastinator, they will perform better. The second myth is that people believe that procrastination is a time management problem only. We cannot manage time. Time is flowing. We have to fit ourselves into time. We must fit into time. That is a lesson for all of us. People say we have to manage time. We have to fit ourselves into time. That is a realization. It's a self-esteem problem is also a myth. A lot of people believe that it's a self-esteem problem. But actually, the procrastinator prefer to be perceived as lacking effort rather than lacking ability. As I said, all procrastinators like that they should be perceived as that they are not making enough effort, they did not have enough time, or they did not have enough interest. So, they lack effort, but they are intelligent enough to do it. So, they prefer to be perceived as lacking effort rather than lacking the ability. That is a psychological inadequacy I talked about earlier. This is a form of psychological inadequacy. So, the procrastinator also believe that people who procrastinate are lazy. Actually, procrastination is a very active process. It's a very active process. They are not lazy people. Active people procrastinate. And technology has made procrastination worse. People believe that since mobile phone has come up, lot of technology have come up, people became more procrastinator. But actually, procrastinator abuse technology. They just don't make use technology to fill in the gap or to enhance their performance. They abuse it. It's a myth that technology has made procrastination worse. Then it's also a myth that it's a delaying decision about unpleasant job. We have talked about the fact that those who are procrastinator, they try to avoid unpleasant job. Actually, it's delaying a decision for pleasant jobs too. Once you start avoiding unpleasant job, and you fail to take a decision, you actually at times your decision being delayed what you really liked, because this has become an habit for you. Once you develop a habit of procrastination, then you also avoid the pleasant job, which you can do it very easily and with lot of capability and interest. So, people believe that as people get develop more age, they rectify their position, but it never changes. The tendency remains with a conscious effort, without a conscious effort to change, the tendency will remain. Age will not actually help you out. Age gives you the realization, but since it is part of your habit, you will not be able to change it. So, unlearning such habit is a very important fact or facet of our learning environment. So, the style of procrastination is very many. Some people procrastinate by becoming perfectionist, that everything that I have to do, I must do it 100% perfect, then I will move on to the next. It's a strategy to develop procrastination. You can't do everything 100% perfect, but you try to unconsciously you try to avoid a situation, so you delay the next job by becoming a perfectionist for the current job that you have been doing. Some people are dreamer, they also procrastinate. A lot of people have a dream, they say I have a dream to do this thing, but dream is a thought candy. If you do not have a vision, you cannot get rid of the procrastination. And as I said, vision is a hard choice, it's a reality bite. So, those who procrastinate will never create a vision for themselves, they will continue to dream. They are perpetual worrier, they will worry all the time, they will have stress all the time, they will say that, oh, I have got a lot of stress, I can't do this. No, stress is something, as I said, the way you carry it. Your workload doesn't create stress for you. A lot of people can actually do the same workload without having stress, but the procrastinator have worries. They say, I have got a lot of stress. They are defiers also. At times they try to challenge others just to procrastinate, that no, I would not do it the way I believe I should do it, and they defy every situation to promote their cause into the environment. And in the process they become a crisis maker, that is, they will not study till the exam arrives, and when the crisis comes they will try to do everything, and they will try to make situation in such a manner so that everybody feels that it is the time that makes him inadequate, it's not his capability problem. So, they are unconsciously aware of their capability problem. So, they are basically a crisis maker in the process, and at times they are overgiver. They are doing something which, even if it is done 100%, they will continue to do it, because they know that by doing that they can actually avoid impending task. So, procrastinator has a style, and that style is very important, and a lot of people actually create a crisis, as you see in this graph, in this pie chart. Most people actually create a crisis for themselves, and after getting the crisis they feel that they are charged up, and then they start doing it, but by that time they realize that it's not possible for them to actually finish it up. So, how do they speak? They speak that they can work better under pressure. They actually create an artificial deadline and pressure in the process, the artificial deadline. They believe that, oh, I need to be right mood to get started. A lot of people talk about mood in order to learn, but mood comes from doing only. Unless you do, your mood will not start. You cannot have your mood without doing anything. If you sit back and procrastinate, your mood will never come. A lot of people also believe that, speak that, oh, I would be able to do a better job tomorrow, not today. But unless you start today, you would remain time starved tomorrow as well. Somewhere you have got to start. If you have to do it, you need to start right away. If you think that it is to be done today, you need to start somewhere. So, it is important that we learn how to break the barrier. So, address the fear of success. It is actually fear of success. We all know the story of hare and tortoise that you see. I mean, the hare was having procrastination, that it can run pretty well and it can easily defeat the tortoise. That is the story, and I mean, we must learn how to avoid procrastinating. So, you recognize that you are procrastinating, you break the barrier, you have to consciously be aware of the fact that you are procrastinating. Stop flirting with danger by working too close to the deadline. Change your environment and get a buddy. Sometimes you must get a friend who will tell you that, oh, you could have done that, you didn't do it. Get a buddy who would be able to tell you this thing point to point. Write down the job you want to get down later. I mean, not that everything you would be able to do today, but what you are going to do tomorrow or later, you can jot down them, and then you do not have to think that, well, I have to do that, I have to do that. Earlier I told you 90% or 95% of our thoughts are repeats. Out of 60,000 thoughts that come into our mind every day, 90 to 95% thoughts are repeats, because you believe that you have to do it, you have to do it. This thought keeps on coming to your mind. So, if you write it down, these energies will be saved. Take on small tasks that you can manage very well. Don't try to do everything at one go. Get rid of perfectionism. Best outcome is not possible every time. Think of good outcome, right outcome. Everything is some way good. And learn how to bounce back from the fear of failure. I told you that atychiphobia is the most important thing which pushes us towards becoming a procrastinator. So, resilience, how to develop this resilience is a very important thing, which is basically an ordinary magic. Anybody can develop it. It does not have a biological particle. It does not have a gene who becomes more resilient. It is a mental setup through which you can learn how to bounce back and avoid the fear of failure. The workload does not pushes us towards failure. It is the fear of failure actually creates a lot of stress and create problem for us. Finally, we need to learn how to manage time. You be intentional about managing time. Be intentional about it. Your intent must be clear. As I said, content, context and intent, these three things are very important. You should have the intent that I am going to manage my time. Being specific about priorities, you understand what are your priorities. In this picture you see there are certain important things, certain urgent things. It is important and urgent, then you do it right away. If it is not urgent but important, do it as soon as possible. If it is not urgent and not important, you can avoid and ignore, you can do it later on. But if it is urgent but not important, you delegate. You may not be able to do everything. So, this is the way you can structure your job and everyday life. Eliminate distractions by focusing. Structure your schedule very properly. and create awareness by tracking time. Tracking time is a very important thing. So, in conclusion, procrastination is a self-defeating tendency, as we have learned. Time management is a life skill, just not about studies. It delays your decision for pleasant job too. It is just not limited to unpleasant jobs. And one can get rid of procrastination by being intentional about time. Your intent must be clear that within this target range I would be able to complete my job. So, these things, if you want to study further, you can consult these books and links, and if you would like to listen to some TED Talks, that also can also be followed. I have given you some of the references for that. So, thank you for listening to this talk.